$100 in free gifts with purchase. Go to bioptimizers.com/radio and use code RADIO today.
KYNT, Yankton, FM 1021 and AM 1450.
You are listening to the Coach's Corner Show on KYNT, Yankton's home team. Now, let's get you caught up on Yankton High School athletics with KYNT Sports Director and the voice of the Bucks and Gazelles, Bryce Ladwig.
All right, good morning, the Coach's Corner, 1019 Broadway Avenue. I'm Bryce Ladwig. Thank you for joining us. Coach's Corner show is powered by Explorers Credit Union. Wherever you want your financial journey to take you, Explorers Credit Union is here to help with the vision of financial empowerment for everyone. Discover the difference at explorerscu.com. I'm not here alone this morning. With me in the studio, KYNT Assistant Sports Director Braden Butler. Braden, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bryce. Thanks for having me in here.
All right, thanks for coming in. We'll talk to you later. I'm joking.
Well, I'm done for the day.
That was your entire day. No, hey, you were at the Dome last night, right?
Yeah, I was. I went in. Josh Bolter, color commentator for Bucks football, our news director here at the station. Me and him went.
I heard that name before.
Me and him went. We got a couple buddies from Watertown, so we went and watched that game yesterday between the Arrows and the Governors, and Dynasty almost wasn't over.
The streak.
The streak almost wasn't over. 2-point conversion with under a minute left. Watertown was able to stuff it and make it a 14-13 win. That was a pretty exciting game. We got, obviously, like I said, we had some friends from Watertown. We sat around some rowdy Watertown people, and I think Josh Bolter would describe the environment as electric at points last night.
He does like the word electric, doesn't he?
It's like the song Electric Avenue. I hear him play it every now and then when he hosts shows.
Yep, that's his baby right there. But we'll talk more about that as we move along. Obviously, this morning, no coaches in on the Coach's Corner, but we have two sports broadcasters in the house here. And
it's the Sports Broadcaster Circle.
Yeah, the Sports Broadcaster Circle show. And today,
not the same ring.
Yeah, we're going to go over the fall sports and kind of put a bow on it as far as Yankton High School is concerned. And just kind of talk about each one briefly. Some notes we both made of all the sports, and kind of it just always feels nice to put an official close to the book, right? To actually close the cover. It seems like sometimes in the past when I went from the fall show into kind of the winter show, there's that like gray area where maybe fall is not completely done yet, but you're already starting winter. And just don't really feel. I like having finales, man.
It's
closure.
One door closes, another one opens. But if you have two doors open, you're going to get a draft or whatever.
Exactly. When we come back from this break, we'll start talking Yankton Bucks golf. They had a good fall campaign. We'll talk about that here on the Coach's Corner. Thanks to Pizza Ranch for always supporting the Coach's Corner for legendary chicken and the best pizza. It's Yankton Pizza Ranch, located on Broadway. You can call 665-1222. We'll be back after this break.
I'm Father Lacey, and hiking allows me to show my faithful spirit. Being out in nature allows all of those things to work together in my head so I can see how it's all connected. To be able to take these things that I'm pondering and draw them back into the ministry, into that life here at Mount Marty.
Show your spirit at Mount Marty University and schedule a tour today at showyourspiritmmu.com.
Isn't it great when things work how they should? Like the award-winning free checking from FNBO. No monthly fees, no minimums, and no overdraft fees, ever. Online, in the app, on the go, or down the street. You be you, and we'll make it easy to bank your way and manage your account. Here's to simple, flexible, and free. Here's to checking that works the way you want it to. Visit fnbo.com to learn more or stop on by. FNBO Free Checking. Member FDIC.
Did you ever hear that cheese is the favorite food of all mice? Well, that's just a myth. Here's the fact. Mice love all food, often eating up to 8 pounds of it in their lifetime. Mice spread disease through urine, droppings, and dander, contaminating food and surfaces like counters and floors, and that's no myth. A pest professional is your best defense against the devastation rodents, termites, roaches, and ants can cause to your home and family.
Olson Pest Technicians, 1-800-KIL-BUGS.
Are you suffering from a recent injury or chronic pain?
Come see us, Lane and Reed Sawatsky at SWAT Chiropractic and Rehab.
We offer a wide variety of techniques to meet every patient's need and preference, including adjustments, dry needling, acupuncture, cupping, and rehabilitation.
We are dedicated to providing personalized and effective treatment plans to help you perform at your highest level and feel your best.
Whether you're dealing with back pain, neck pain, or a sports injury, we've got you covered.
Go to swatchiropracticandrehab.com to schedule an appointment.
Think about how people really see you. The kid at the drive-thru just sees a coffee drinker.
Please pull forward.
Your local barista sees the person who loves a smiley face in their latte.
See you next time.
It's kind of the same way with insurance. Other insurance companies just see a customer, but a State Farm agent sees more. They see you as a neighbor. Your State Farm agent is here to get to know who you really are, so they can help life go right.
Call State Farm agent Rhonda Westland at 665-4411 today to learn more.
Looking for the perfect pair of glasses? At Vision Care Associates, we've got you covered. Step into our showroom and discover our vast selection from timeless classics to the latest trends. With several styles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect match for your look. Experience personalized service and expert care, whether you need help finding the right frame or adjusting your new glasses for the perfect fit.
Vision Care Associates, where the health of your eyes comes first.
All right, welcome back to the Coach's Corner. Bryce Ladwig here with legendary sports broadcaster Braden Butler. Oh, try it again. Try it again.
Third time's the charm.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
So I was going to say it helps when I have you unmuted. It also helps when I have your fader up. I had you assigned to the wrong one on your...
It happens.
On your production meeting, I had you on the wrong channel.
Whoops. It happens.
happens.
I'm lucky if I turn my own mic on in the mornings when I do the morning show before your shows. So.
Probably not going to be the first time it happens today, to be honest with you. But
well, hey, we'll roll with the punches.
It is. All right, I said we're going to talk golf, and we will. But actually, Braden, I want to start off with we're going to call this the fall finale show, as I will preview the fact that we're going to do highlights next week. But anyway, as far as talking about the sports, really, let's go ahead and start with Yankton Cross Country and just kind of go over their season a little bit. And just what do we have for us?
Yeah, well, looking at the Bucks and Gazelles, obviously all the work is towards the state tournament, and looking how they did in that state tournament, they finished both teams middle of the pack in Class AA. For the Bucks, they finished 12th as a team. They were led by Harrison Kraske, who finished 26th, which I believe the top 25 or is it the top 15 earn all-state honors, so he was just outside of that. Either way, really. Abram Chance finished 32nd. I know he's a senior, so that was his. I believe he's a senior anyway, so that's his final race. Brighton Olsen finished 36th. Isaac Larrington was 84th. Luke Jacobson 99th. Gabe Rock 100th, and Caden Hunoff was 129th. Those were the 7 tallying finishers for the Bucks, and that's got them a 12th place finish as a team. And unfortunately for the Bucks, for the other sports that I have notes for, I wasn't able to find a list of seniors. I believe Abram Chance is senior, but I can't remember who else is. So I do apologize for that. But congratulations for the seniors. Obviously, thank you to the seniors as always for their contributions to the team, and good luck to them in the future. Now that fall sports season's out of the way, if they're multi-sport athletes, they still got time. But they're counting down the days already at Yankton High School for the senior class. I know that from interviewing a couple of them already between football and some signings that we had recently.
No, absolutely. And as we do that, we'll go ahead and just keep going through the sports, Braden. Let's keep going with Yankton Bucks golf. And we'll start with...
I haven't talked about Gazelles cross country, my bad.
Oh, yeah, I thought we were going to go back and forth. But yeah, we'll do Gazelles first.
Yeah, because I thought we were just going to run through cross country. My bad. On-air production meeting part 2, we messed up. But it's fine. I messed up. It's all right. For the Gazelles cross-country team as well, they did well at state. They finished 11th as a team, once again right there, about in the middle of Class AA. I believe 18 teams competed for the AA girls. Rylan Jackson was the top finisher individually at 33rd. Abby Johannesson was 41st. Delaney Yeomans was 44th. Sophie Petheram was 84th. Ava Johannesson was 92nd. Mary Rounds 93rd. And Kayleen Peterson was 96th. Yankton once again finishing 11th of this team. And like the Bucks, wasn't able to find a list of seniors, but once again, congratulations to them on their careers and good luck to them in the future.
Absolutely. And another one in the books for cross country, another one in the books for Yankton Bucks golf. and a solid season. Coach Brett Syme always came into the studio, always appreciated that. First of all, we'll kind of go from ESD on. Yankton finished 6th in the ESD meet, and that was with a 52 over par as a team. And then the top finishers tied at 15th, Eli Larson. And that means he was an all-conference medalist, top 15. But then tied for 27th, Easton Velick, tied at 34. Parker Riley, tied at 40. Riker Larson. And then at 53, Braden Birkland. So a kind of all-over performance from the Bucks at ESD. And then they turned their page to state. And I should say who won ESD, actually. The team that did so was Harrisburg, 22 over collectively as a team. Then at state, winning that for AA golf was Watertown, and it was at their home course. So 569 team total and 7 under par as a team, Braden. There's some really good golf in South Dakota.
There's some very, very good golf in South Dakota. And golf's not an easy sport. I should know. I'm terrible at it. But
do you ever find your clubs?
No. Somebody says, I've been robbed, America. I want everybody to know that. I was robbed of my golf clubs.
He was quite literally robbed of his golf clubs.
Somebody stole them. But it is okay. I will get new ones before next year.
If you have them, we will find you.
If you have them, please give them back. If you don't have them, find them. I don't know. But yeah, I'll get new ones before next year. But that put a damper on the end of the golf season, or my golf season. But anyway, I know golf is way more difficult. It's really mental. Yeah, good days, bad days, and things like that. And I think the mental aspect, it is a big challenge. And for guys who maybe you don't start great the first couple holes, that can affect them. And other guys, they're cool as ice. Even on the bad holes, they flush it out. And it can be tough. And I know these guys played well this year. Even and Watertown winning the state title, they're becoming title town this fall between that and football. But I had forgotten that Watertown was able to get that state title as well. So.
No, absolutely. I was going to surprise you, but we did start a GoFundMe for your golf clubs, and we were able to collectively, with all the effort, able to raise $4. So hopefully that could put a dent into your journey.
It's like a golf ball sized dent.
It's like one golf ball, generic, not name brand. All right. So anyway, back to state. So Watertown won state. Yankton finished. They were not in the top 10. They finished at 11th, 634 overall and 58 over par, just ahead of Aberdeen, who had a 639, and right behind Sioux Falls Jefferson with a 633. Top performers at state for Yankton, Easton Velick tied for 37th, Parker Riley tied for 41st, Kai Cody tied for 44th, and Braden Birkland tied at 60. Riker Larson tied at 72, and Eli Larson tied at 75. And I think that's all their Yankton golfers. So, yeah, Yankton golf, you don't have to finish that they necessarily wanted, but I think Brett Syme always says you want to finish. They always aim to finish like kind of the top 5, maybe 6, he said, but, just outside of there. But there's always next year. That's just the beauty about all these sports. And Yankton Bucks golf always competitive. I'm looking forward to another competitive season for Yankton Bucks golf, and then of course Gazelles golf come spring.
Oh yeah, it's always nice that they have that split golf season. So there's golf basically all year round in Yankton. They take the winter off. Obviously, it's not easy to get on the putting green with there's inches of snow on the ground, but still, it's nice to. We'll be excited for Gazelles golf in the spring.
Another sport that kind of goes year round is tennis. You have tennis in the fall and spring. Let's go over some fall tennis, Braden.
Yeah, the Gazelles for fall tennis, they had a very, very good season. So as a team, they finished 3rd at state, and they brought home a couple state championships as well. Flight 1 singles, Nora Kraske, and then Flight 1 doubles with Nora and Sabrina Kraske, each of them winning state championships. But full results from state, across the board, Yankton did very, very well at the state tournament. Obviously, you have to finish 3rd as a team. So after Nora Kraske's Flight 1 championship, Sabrina Kraske was 5th in Flight 2. Paige Mitchell was 3rd at Flight 3. Addison Gordon advanced to the consolation finals at Flight 4. Carolyn Kerner was in the 5th place semifinals at Flight 5, and Megan Scott was in the consolation finals at Flight 6. That was all in singles play. And doubles play, obviously Nora and Sabrina Kraske, Flight 1 champions. It's a very good family with a racket in their hands. Obviously, Miles Kraske, he won a Paralympic silver medal this summer, and now his sister's winning state championships for tennis. It's something good to see. Paige Mitchell and Addison Gordon were in the 5th place finals at Flight 2 for doubles as well. And then Carolyn Kerner and Megan Scott were in the worthy consolation champions of Flight 3. So congratulations to all Gazelles involved. When I was looking at the roster, only one senior on this year's roster. That was Addison Gordon. So it goes out with a pretty good state tournament performance, and good luck to her in her future.
All right. Thank you, Braden. And yes, good luck to Yankton Gazelles Golf and those seniors that graduated. And you and I will take a break, come back here to the KYNT studios, and I'm just tossing a coin in the air. Let's start talking volleyball and soccer, and yeah. Yeah, sounds good to me.
You got my vote.
This is the most thrown together. Let's just talk. Let's put a finale on fall sports on air production meeting galore. But we'll be back here at KYT Studios. This is the Coach's Corner. Good morning.
Are you ready to drive home your savings? For a limited time, Explore CU is offering an incredible deal on auto loans. They'll beat your current auto loan rate by up to 2% on new and used vehicle refinances from other institutions. Choose from a variety of terms to fit your budget and lifestyle. Enjoy a fast, easy application and approval process with no application fee. Don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity to save. Visit us at explorerscu.com to learn more and apply today.
Getting the kids to practice on time. Remembering if it's your day to bring snacks. Making it to the game with a clean jersey. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like whether your kid is going to run toward first or third base. That's simple human sense.
Don't gamble. Insure with MTRC Smith Insurance in Yankton, your independent agent for home, business, auto, life, and bonds. MTRCSmithInsurance.com.
Traveling to Yankton for business or pleasure? Then book your stay at Yankton's two best hotels, the Fairfield Inn and Suites and Holiday Inn Express. Both are conveniently located to everything in Yankton. Both offer complimentary hot breakfast and meeting rooms for business travelers. And if you want a great rate and still be able to change your reservation without a hassle, call either hotel direct. The Fairfield and Holiday Inn Express, two great hotel choices when visiting or arranging rooms for guests to Yankton.
At Triple Time Rudy's, not only do you get top-notch fuel to keep you on the move, but it's a destination for delicious local treats. You'll find quality South Dakota products like Dimmock cheese and premium meats from the Kaler and Renner lockers. It's your community's pit stop for more than just fuel. Triple Time Rudy's supports schools and events and provides fuel discounts to Yankton's largest employers. For all your daily fill-ups and convenience needs, stop by Triple Time Rudy's at 17th and Broadway.
Do you want a job that keeps it real? At Truxedo, a real truck company, we keep it real by promoting our values of excellent service, teamwork, accountability, and innovation. Join the Truxedo team and enjoy your next career adventure. We have a variety of openings, including weekend maintenance technician 2. So don't wait. Get up, get out, and apply at realtruck.com/careers. Start your next adventure with a career at Truxedo.
And welcome back here to the KYT Studios. I'm Bryce Ladwig. Thank you for joining us. This is the Coach's Corner show on KYNT and KYNTV. Our fall finale show, part 1 of possibly 2. It's like the Harry Potters, Braden, or any teen novel group, right? They're going to start breaking them up near the end to get more movies out of them.
It's the Fast and Furious franchise.
Everything always reverts back to the Fast and Furious with you, doesn't it?
Look, I decided at a young age that I like cars. And, Fast and Furious had a lot of cars in it. So what do you want from me?
Yeah, but the fact that one day you said your favorite movie was Too Fast, Too Furious.
Still is to this day. It's not the best one in the franchise, but it's my favorite.
It's like a direct-to-DVD movie.
Hey, listen, it's a direct-to-my-heart movie. You calm down.
All right. All right. Yankton Gazelles volleyball. Let's get into that. Obviously, just missed the Sodak 16. That's a heartbreaker right there. You know, always want to be part of the playoff. They are one of four teams, 3 or 4 teams that are on the outside looking in. And let's go ahead, Brady. You called. Well, so did I. I guess we both called some games, but you more than I. And we had more coverage of them this year. And they had some good showings, but also the thing about the Gazelles this year, from my perspective, is while they had some really rough matchups against like Sioux Falls schools, because that's another step they're going to have to get to be competitive. But even a lot of their losses this season, they were right there.
Yeah, they were very competitive. They fought hard. I think in post-game conversations, if you go back to any of ours with head coach Taylor Stacy, she mentioned how her girls fight, and I think they fought very hard and very well. And this is I don't want to say a young team, but over almost half the roster is underclassmen. I think they only had 3 seniors. It was Bella Kerner, Olivia Demmer, and Cheyenne Rubidou were the only seniors on this year's team at the varsity level. So it's a younger squad, especially after last year. I think they graduated 8 seniors from last year's class. So you're looking at almost a full rotation, almost leaving the program last season. So there was going to be a turnover, and I think they started to put it together down the stretch. They ended 7-19 overall, but they won 3 of their final 4 matches, ending up tenths of a seed point out of a Sodak 16 matchup, finishing 17th. It's just that age that putting together down the stretch, but it just wasn't enough. The future does look good for Yankton volleyball. I think they're right back in the Sodak next year, just like I know they were last year, and I think they get right back into it next year with another year. But unfortunately, this year finishing just outside of that postseason spot.
Yeah, and Coach Taylor Stacy, I think, has done a nice job of developing. And that's another thing. There's been a lot of coaching turnover the last, since I've been here, and it takes a coach a while to implement their philosophies. And I know this is kind of a buzzword in sports, but their culture, so to speak. And I think that is something that's going to continue to happen for Yankton Gazelles volleyball.
And looking at how I try to be observant when I'm in the crow's nest, seeing how Coach Stacy talks to her players, how she talks about her players, how they interact with each other before, during, and after matches. I think the players really like Coach Stacy, and that's one thing that's really helpful. If your team, you're not trying to be your friend, you're trying to be your coach, but at the same time, if they buy into what you're selling, it'll be easier to establish that culture, as you mentioned, as a buzzword. And I think after year 2, you can see. You can start to see the groundwork laid for the future with Coach Stacy, and I hope she does a great job in the future and going into year 3 next year, and hopefully we're back in the Sodak.
No, absolutely. And now let's turn our attention to Yankton Bucks and Gazelles soccer, another sport that we carried on KYNT and KYNTV all season long. Did some away games as well. I like kind of 3/4 of the season really, and you were there for every kick that were braided. I was there for many of them, but Gazelles soccer. A big step forward, and Bucks soccer, they're looking to kind of rebuild their base.
Yeah, and with Bucks soccer, there's a lot of turnover this year. You graduated a lot of key seniors last year. New head coach Dane Hansen comes in after Dave Dannenbrink retires, or Dane Hansen comes in. Dave, mixing them up, but Dave Dannenbrink retires last year. Dane Hansen comes in, and just talking to him and looking at his background, where he comes from, he understands the game of soccer. I'm not exactly a savant here at all. I just play FIFA. He makes me look like I'm at a 2nd grade level with this stuff. So, comes in, new system, trying to get to know your new players. You lose some key seniors. Some guys are moving around. It's difficult your first season. They dealt with some injuries. They dealt with illness early in the season. Like, there was a lot of things that kind of hampered this Bucks team. They ended up finishing 2-11-1. They did get a couple close games on the stretch and a big win over Mitchell late in the season, 5-3 in Mitchell at Joe Quinto Field. So that's always, I know Yankton, they'll never look a gift horse in the mouth when it comes to getting a win over the Colonels. So they did finish outside the postseason. Seniors for the Bucks were Zach Briggs, Limi Stelval, Aiden Anderson, Sean Scott, Mitchell Zimmerman, Griffin Johnson, and Kevin Chavez. So all those guys playing their last games in a Bucks uniform for the soccer team. Good luck to them in their futures as always. And it's I don't want to call it a rebuilding year, but it's definitely a year of turnover for the Yankton Bucks team. We'll see where they come back next year and how the team can improve in year 2 under head coach Dane Hansen. Unless there's anything else you guys say about Bucks, we can switch over to the Gazelle soccer team now too. I know we mentioned a little bit. It was a good year for them. 8-5-2 overall. Their first winning season since they won a state title a few years back, too. That's something head coach Tyler Schuring told me in a post-game after they secured a winning record, that he was very happy about that.
Assistant coach of that team, Katie Ladwig. Put it out there. Katie, I got you.
And it was I always got to give a shout out. I understand that. But as a team, they implemented a new system this year. It was it's different philosophy. When talking to Coach Schuring, it's a lot different philosophy than he usually runs, and it seemed to work. Yeah, they went to a defensive back three after some growing pains early on in the season. Once they settled into that system, they did really, really well. 8-5-2 overall, as I mentioned. A couple of All-State honorees. Eden Wolfgram was first-team All-State. Chloe Foote was an All-State honorable mention. They ended up losing in the first round of the playoffs to Brandon Valley. That one went to extra time. That's a game of attrition at that point. I believe over 100 minutes total of soccer were played, almost 2 hours. So once you get to that territory, it's the legs can feel a little heavier, and Brandon Valley was able to get that win there. Seniors on this team, and I mentioned that they shifted to a defensive back three. Well, your three starters down the stretch, Carly Chop and Hannah Kruger kind of rotated, but down the stretch, your back three was Chloe Foote, Carly Chop, Tessa Gillis. All three of them graduate. Those were all seniors, along with Eleanor Johnson, Haley Luke, who was a key piece in the midfield as a holding midfielder, and Chloe Blum. So all six of those girls are graduating this year from Yankton High School. They played there last time as a Gazelles for the soccer team, and I think this was, especially with some tougher years recently, this was a great way to go out for this group of seniors, and hopefully Yankton can continue to build on this momentum they picked up this last season.
All right. Thank you, Braden. Congratulations to Yankton Gazelles Volleyball on another season, as well as Yankton Gazelles Soccer and Bucks Soccer as well. When we come back, Yankton Football, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Dome last night. I also have thoughts. And so we'll be back here on the Coaches Corner. Braden Butler in the studio with me, KYNT Assistant Sports Director. I'm KYNT Sports Director Bryce Ladwig. This is the Coaches Corner. Good morning.
¿Está buscando una casa para comprar? Me llamo Deb Speck de Vision Real Estate y puedo ayudarle a encontrar la casa perfecta. Yo sé que la barrera del idioma puede ser difícil, pero puedo facilitar el proceso. Escoja a un agente que se habla español. Envíeme un mensaje de texto 605-661-9398.
Is it the competition that keeps bringing you back? The long-standing rivalries? Or is it seeing friends again and cheering on your favorite team? At First Dakota, we're here for it all. We appreciate the fans, the players, the coaches and officials, the concessions crew. The shared community experience is part of what makes life here great, and we're here for it. See you at the game. First Dakota National Bank, member FDIC.
Ever try to fit a giant cactus into a box? No? Well, at the UPS store, we've seen it all. Okay, maybe not a cactus, but we've seen a lot, so don't worry. You don't have to be a packing genius. Let the associates at the UPS store handle it. From awkward size objects to important documents, we'll pack it perfectly, ship it safely, and give you peace of mind you need. Whether it's fragile, oversized, well, or just plain weird, bring it to us, and we'll take care of the rest. The UPS store in Yankton and Vermilion, because sometimes packing is harder than it looks.
COVID-19 cases are on the rise, and peak flu season is almost here. Save time and get the updated COVID-19 vaccine and your flu shot at the same time at Hy-Vee. Schedule your updated COVID-19 vaccine and flu shot online today, or just stop by any Hy-Vee pharmacy whenever it's convenient for you. No appointment necessary. Plus, when you get your flu shot at Hy-Vee, earn a 20-cent fuel saver. Your Hy-Vee pharmacy is here to help you and your family stay healthy. Some restrictions apply.
Sports injuries can be the result of competitive activities, but can also happen by just participating in leisure activities too. If you're experiencing pain as the result of your chosen activity, consider chiropractic care. I'm Dr. Mackenzie Erlinson with First Chiropractic Centers. We have experienced chiropractors that work with sports injuries every day. Our treatment options are aimed to minimize pain, reduce recovery time, and reduce risk of future injuries. Visit First Chiropractic Centers, making life better, one adjustment at a time.
All right, Bryce Ladwig alongside the legend himself, Braden Butler. Welcome back to the Coach's Corner. Thanks to Pizza Ranch for supporting the show all year long. Pizza Ranch for legendary chicken and the best pizza. It's Yankton Pizza Ranch, located on Broadway, where you can call 665-1222, as well as Explorers Credit Union. Wherever you want your financial journey to take you, Explorers Credit Union is here to help with the vision of financial empowerment for everyone. Discover the difference at explorerscu.com. All right, we mentioned it to open the show. And again, Braden Butler in the studio with me. But Braden, you were at the Dome last night. I was watching from afar on my couch. That's where afar is. And just seeing if the Pierre Dynasty streak would continue, if they would get their 8th straight 11 AA state title. And they got close, Braden. They were a 2-point conversion away. And what the commentators pointed out, that was Craig Maddock last night, and I can't remember his first name, Briggs, mentioned that was the greatest, sloppiest game ever.
It was. I did look at, we mentioned the start of this, I was there with Josh Bolzer, and I did look at him at one point and go, is this a really good game or a really bad game? There were a lot of mistakes for both teams, fumbles,
high snaps,
turnovers. The turf monster got involved several times, and then there were ridiculous plays on the other end. Watertown, they take the lead on a Statue of Liberty like it's 2007, and Boise State just took the field, faking the pass, Statue of Liberty handoff. I believe it was Spencer Wenches who ran it in on that one. And then Pierre answers with basically the 4 verts everybody on College Football 25 offense. And it was working. A couple deep balls. George Stolley got one. I know Cooper Terwilliger had some great catches. Like, it was weird. It was weird. That's the only way I can describe it. And honestly, it had to be weird. You look where Pierre was at the midway point of the season at, I believe, 2-4 at one point, and you're wondering, well, maybe AA is wide open. Well, AA was so wide open, Pierre was able to recover and get back to the Dome again. So it's really just it shows how competitive 11 AA was this year. And congratulations to Watertown. They were right at the top all season long, and the Arrows are the ones who put the Governors to bed finally on this dynasty run.
Yeah, I don't know if the dynasty is over, because you can still have a dynasty,
but
I know the
streak
is over.
But I'm never gonna doubt Pierre. Co-worker under the Riverfront Broadcasting banner, John Winkler of KCCR and Pierre, I texted him last night. I don't know what voodoo magic you have in Pierre, but you guys need to stop. I can't keep dealing with it. I legitimately thought, because they had Bochy. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name. They had him in. He's more there. When they put him in, it's going to be QB power. And
we know. With Yankton, we know.
Yeah, they put him in, and he scores a touchdown to make it 14-13, and then he's right back out there going for 2. Similar play. They tried to window dress it a little bit, which I don't think Watertown bid on. That ended up costing Pierre, but it's still there was a chance for the Governors to keep the streak going. And when you look at where they were, like I said, in the middle of the year, even towards the 3/4 mark of the year, and to get to not only get to the Dome, but to be 3 yards away from winning another state title, it really is impressive. And I don't want to keep just talking about Pierre, because obviously Yankton had a great season as well, but it's just, I love 11 AA football. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, and play a game with you. So first of all, I texted you in that group chat last night. The last time that Watertown won a state title was in 1996, taking down Yankton, so it's fitting, right? But let's go over the last 11 or 12 years, Braden. This is a game. Here we go. See if you can guess. Okay, who won the 11 AA title in 2013?
That would have been before Yankton had back-to-back, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead in your game, but would it have been... Was Mitchell winning titles in the early 2010s?
It was Pierre.
2013. Okay, 2013 was Pierre.
All right. Who won in 2014?
Yankton.
Who won in 2015?
Yankton again.
Taking down Pierre.
Pierre.
Yep. All right. Who won in 2016?
Well, I know the answer to the next 7, I think.
Oh, Mitchell.
Mitchell won 16, and then the next 7 is Pierre.
And then who won 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23?
Pierre.
In 24? Watertown. All right, so
who
finally
took down Pierre. Has Pierre been to like 12 straight state titles?
So out of the last 12 years, they've been in 10 of them and won 9 of those 10.
Or 8 of those 10.
I don't know, man. I just did math on the fly. I was pretty impressed by it.
Honestly, it was great. But, like, that's weird to think about. Pierre,
so
like,
11 years, they've been there 10 times and won 8 of those. No, 9 because it's 2013.
No, that's
8.
Yeah, 8 because the 7.
Dude, this is what the problem is, Braden. They've had so many now that people are starting to get confused if it's 8, 7, 9. We're just like, I don't know.
What are they putting in the water over there?
Yeah, exactly. But all right, yeah, like you said, enough about Pierre. Let's go over the Yankton season, and I'll go over their schedule real quick. So Yankton hosted Huron late August, and one that won 60-0. That was a good start to the season, and but it was kind of one of those things, Brady. We didn't really know what to make of the team yet because Huron just kind of had a more down year, but still putting up 60 points is impressive.
Yeah, and especially at the start of the year, I think Huron came out of the gate slow. Obviously, they ended up fighting their way into the playoffs. I think the middle to back half of the year, Huron started to figure out what they wanted to do on offense, but throughout the entire game. But yeah, Yankton was able to handle that one fairly simply. And like you said, we didn't know what we were expecting. I believe heading into week 2 at Watertown.
Yep, and then we went to Watertown and played at the stadium, which is now closed. And I will say that it's been getting its flowers. Watertown Stadium, been open since 1941. And SDPV had a big special on it last night and everything. And I kind of look at it as like, a funeral for a really old, thing that maybe the close family members of it were like, yeah, it was a great person. But everyone on the outside's like, ugh.
Watertown Stadium, it's a historic venue. It served Watertown well, but I from what I've heard about the new stadium, they've I had almost finished here recently and are now finishing, hopefully before they take the field next fall. It is going to be a very nice facility. So, coming into that thing, 80-plus years serving Watertown. I mean, Watertown Stadium had a great run.
Well, they better have that stadium finished because I'm not going back to Watertown Stadium.
I'm not going on that roof again.
The roof, the bats, the fact that I had to make sure my tetanus shots were updated. It was just, man. And obviously I'm making jokes, but it was a very old stadium. And Watertown is the town that deserves to have a really nice football stadium, especially now for what will be a defending state champion. So, but Yankton, it's not going to pull any punches here. They kind of dropped the ball at Watertown. There's a lot of bad football on both sides.
A lot of penalties were called. And like you mentioned, on both sides. I think the final stat was between 25 and 30 accepted penalties. That doesn't include ones that were declined between the two teams. So it was a very... I don't want to be harsh, but it was a sloppy game. A lot of mistakes mentally.
There are rumors out there. You could choose to believe them or not that they're actually still throwing penalties right now.
Yeah, I figured.
Just someone's out there right now just throwing yellow
Someone's
flags.
at Watertown Stadium right now throwing a flag, trying to get them to keep the stadium alive.
Just like, we're going to keep this thing going here. No, but they lost that one 27-13. And then...
Actually, Bryce, you just got a 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike.
Did I?
Yeah, just now.
Oh, just now?
Yeah.
It's added on. Added on. All right. They traveled all the way to Douglas, and Douglas got a new football, well, not a new stadium, but new turf and kind of like a renovated stadium. And they helped Douglas really break that one in, won 74-6 at Douglas. And then would host Harrisburg, an 11 AAA school who finished as a semifinalist, and 11 AAA. From what I remember, Braden, that was it the first half? Maybe the first 3 quarters almost, if I remember correctly.
I say first 2.5 to
first 2.5 quarters. Let's say the first half. Very competitive game, and Yankton was showing that AAA is not that far above AA, if at all, really. It just depends on who's having a good year or not. But Harrisburg was able to pull away at the end.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, I think it was a one-score game in the third quarter, like 21-13 at one point, and then, like you said, Harrisburg pulled away. They got a lot of great talent.
Well, they have the numbers too.
Yeah, they have a lot of great talent and just a lot of guys.
Yeah.
And like, you got guys, and that's just the size of these schools in AAA. You got guys who might not get a lot of playing time. They're talented enough to start at like AA at the A level, but AAA just has so many guys who go out for these kind of things, and there's so many great athletes in the metro area, especially in Sioux Falls, and the Sioux Falls adjacent with Harrisburg and places like that. It's ridiculous. You look at, I believe so it was Brandon Valley against Sioux Falls Lincoln. So that's Sioux Falls and Sioux Falls suburb in the state championship game. Harrisburg, you mentioned, was the semifinals. It's the Sioux Falls suburb. Sioux Falls pumps out great talent every single year, and there's so much of it that 4 or 5, 6 different schools in the same pocket of the state can all be your top 6 teams in a class and compete for a state title. It's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I mean, because I have an out-of-state family, obviously, and they asked kind of about what high school football is like in South Dakota and where Yankton is in the pecking order. And I always say, all right, so 11 AA is big enough where, in Yankton, especially, is big enough where maybe you have 1 or 2 players. I think it's by choice this year, but Yankton had the roster size to have players just play one side of the ball, offense, defense, or special teams. That was their one focus. They're big enough, right? 11 AAA is not only big enough to do that, but they're actually big enough to have quality starters, not only just on defense, but just in the dime package or just in the 3-4, like in certain packages. They roll deep.
They got guys where your only role is to play the nickel.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
is what you do.
Yeah, and so that's a different kind of depth, and so there you go. And then you get all the way down to like 11B and stuff where it's like, no, you're playing everything, But
and those kids are warriors.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know there are 9. I saw like
drive their own bus.
Yeah, some of them might. But like I remember seeing like enrollment numbers for some 9B schools where it's 9-man football and they got 14 kids on the roster. It's like, oh, everybody's playing. Get out there. Let's go to war. And I got a lot of respect for those kids who go out, especially at those small schools.
And then Yankton in week 5 would go to the state capitol and dominate the Pierre Governors. Take that, John Winkler. 35-7, and leaving no doubt. And we were all going, well, it's over for Pierre, buddy.
Yeah, well, to go back to that day. Yeah, Pierre was able to put it back together by the end of the season. But that's the turning point in, like, my opinion on the season, because through the first 4 weeks, Huron was down this year. Douglas was down this year. Those are 2 big wins. Watertown was obviously really good, number 2 overall seed, ends up winning the state championship. And Harrisburg is a top 3 or 4 team in AAA. Couldn't get a good read on what the Bucks were through the first 4 weeks. The run they started with the Pierre win let me know just how good this Bucks team was, that they could go out and compete for a shot at a state title.
Absolutely. And then you have Sturgis. Yankton host Sturgis win 35-0. That was that homecoming? Yeah, okay, that was homecoming. And then
Took a drink at the wrong time. You asked me that question.
And then Yankton traveled to Brookings and to T. 2 games that were highlighted at the beginning of the year. Brookings was having a dominant defense at that time, allowing like 1 touchdown at that point of the year, really. And Yankton took care of business there in Brookings, 24-7, and then went to T area and took care of business there as well, 28-7. Yankton on a roll, and then would come back and host Mitchell and set records.
I was saying that Brookings game started the Evan Cirque arc down the stretch. I think he had 200 plus in Brookings, and then ends up breaking every rushing record for a single game, basically, in the season finale against Mitchell.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll get to the records in a second. I updated the record book. But yeah, then defeated Mitchell 80-14. And then we get to the playoffs and the state quarterfinal. Yankton hosts Aberdeen, which I told you my narrative all year.
Weird things happen with Aberdeen.
Weird things happen with Aberdeen. Okay? It's just weird. I told you 2 narratives going into the year. Weird things happen with Aberdeen, and state semifinals in Yankton are weird as well. All right? It's, it's just the way things are. It's spooky time, right? It's around Halloween. Okay? So Aberdeen comes here, and Yankton on the scoreboard took care of business 28-6, but it was just one of the uglier 28-6 victories I've seen.
And to give some credence to the weird things happen with Aberdeen, you look at the last couple years of this year, obviously it's 28-6, but it felt closer throughout most of that game. Yankton was able to pull away late. Last year, it's raining sideways in Aberdeen with 30-mile-an-hour winds, and that was a couple years ago. I remember Josh Bolter telling me stories of a couple snaps went over their quarterback's head.
3 Grant Rolfs. 3 snaps, Braden. And I can tell you. You don't need Josh. I'll tell you. 3 different snaps went over his head, about 10 to 15 yards. Think last night at the Dome, like all those high snaps, right? Same thing. But instead of, bringing them down in the backfield or even at the line of scrimmage, right? Every one of them went for 30-plus yards of positive yardage, and one of them a touchdown. It was ridiculous. And I think all of them converted.
Weird things happen with Aberdeen.
I'm telling you, man, it's all Trevin Ricklick's fault.
Friend of the show, Trevin Ricklick.
Friend of the show. All right. But then they would host Pierre, and the wound is still fresh, so we'll go by that one pretty fast. But 14-9 just didn't come out as the team that they were all year. Pierre didn't even really play that well either, for being honest. You know, they didn't look great last night either, but they played better last night than they did against Yankton, in my opinion.
Yeah, Pierre in the semifinals and in the championship game, really, they drug their opponents into a rock fight, which is not something prolific Pierre offenses of the past you don't expect. But the fact that Pierre can have that switch to go, all right, we can beat you playing this pretty football over the top, spread them out, fun, right? And then we can also, drag you into the depths and see if you can swim. If you look back at that game, I give a lot of credit to the defense for Yankton, even with the loss to Pierre, because Pierre scores second play of the game on a long ball that maybe the Yankton defense was a little flat-footed coming out. If hindsight's 20/20 on that long ball, I think 50+ yard touchdown, second play of the game for Pierre, and then Pierre doesn't score again until their very last play of the game on offense. So you got a stretch of basically I got to do math. 12 times 4 is 48. You play 48 minutes total. 47-15 of that you played perfect defense almost. And 45 seconds is all it takes. And credit to Pierre for taking that win, but you got to do feel for Yankton, especially on the defensive side. I think they played really well outside of, unfortunately, a couple plays.
Absolutely. Some Yankton stats for you. Yankton scored 36.4 points per game, surrendered 12.5 throughout the year, just showing that defense. Scored 56 touchdowns, only allowed 19, and had 15 passing touchdowns, 37 rushing touchdowns. Eclipsed 4,000 total yards, 4,160, averaged 378 yards per game, 138 of those average in the air, 246 average on the ground. And then defensively, only allowed 110 rushing yards per game. That is a prolific defense.
It was a very good Yankton team this year. Running the ball is the basis of every offense. Except maybe Mike Leach's air raids. The running the ball is the basis of every offense. So if you can run the ball well, 250+ yards per game as a team, and take away the other team's run game, you control the clock, you control the tempo, you control the game. And Yankton controlled a lot of games this year, and that showed in the final score lines. So just, unfortunately, the state semifinal game, it comes to an end.
All right, and we had some ESD or all ESD selections. Why don't you go over those, Braden? After each one, I'll go over their season stats.
And we'll start on offense. Obviously, the senior quarterback, getting his first year as the starter, and he became all ESD for Easton Nelson, all ESD quarterback.
116 for 189 in passing, 61% completion percentage, 1,443 yards in the air, averaged 131 per game, 14 passing touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and then rushing, 110 rushes, 733 yards, 6.7 average each carry, and 12 rushing touchdowns. A great offensive year.
And that great offensive year extended to our next guy as well. Probably the best season on offense. You look at the records he broke down the stretch. Running back Evan Sirk gets an all ESD nod as well.
Yeah, Evan Sirk, and where to start? 194 carries, 1,203 rushing yards, 6.2 average per carry, 15 rushing touchdowns, and in the air had 11 receptions, 131 yards, 11.9 per catch, and 2 receiving touchdowns. Evan Sirk also set some new records. You mentioned total points scored in a game, took over for Trey Erickson. He now is 36. That was set, of course, 2024, the record book. And then rushing yards in a game, 255. And that is now held by Evan Sirk. And then also lunged himself into the top 5 all-time rushing in Yankton Bucks history at number 5 with that 21-26. His career going from 2022 to 2024. Scott Nedved, of course, is up top with 43.01, followed by Jeff Sath, Roger Smith, and Tyler Cruel. And so congratulations to Evan Sirk there. And also, we mentioned the defense earlier. I want to really quickly revert back to that and some other team records before we continue on. Total interceptions in a season. Yankton broke their own record of 19, set at some point. I don't know. I'd read to the record book. Sorry. That's the way record books work, I guess. But 21 in a season for Yankton. And total points scored in a game, of course, at 80 with Mitchell. That's now set. And team points scored in a season, 400, surpassing 2018's prolific offense. So a lot of records there, but I'll let you continue. But congratulations to Evan Sirk on not just a great, fantastic year, but a great career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you mentioned, getting top 5 in rushing yards all time. At Yankton, I know more spread recently, but they were a grinded out, pound the rock team for decades. The running game was ingrained into Yankton before my time, obviously, but for years and years under Coach Max Hawk. So to be in a more spread out offense and still find your way into the top 5 all time in rushing for a career, and did it in honestly only 1 true year as a starter. He took over the starting role last year when Shaler Platt got hurt, but only 1.5 to 2 years as a starter, as the starter at running back. It was very, very efficient to get to that number.
Well, my predecessor, Scott Kustra, always told me that Max Hawk would tell him, or he'd ask him about the passing game or whatever, and he said, well, we throw twice a year and also twice on homecoming. And so, like, I always thought that was a joke, and then you look at some of the old numbers, it wasn't very far off. Braden, they ran the ball. It was power run, all old Nebraska. That's what Yankton did, just running the ball. And that's why so many of the passing records are of recent history. So almost all of them, So, but I'll let you continue on our ESD selections.
And, speaking of passing, it's a pass catcher up next, earning all ESD honors. Carson Ness is a wide receiver. I believe the leading receiver for Yankton this year gets on the board.
Yep, Carson Ness, the Loch Ness, what can you say? He was second in team in receptions with 35. And 644 yards receiving, 18.4 per catch, 7 receiving touchdowns. And then also defensively for Carson Ness, 26.5 tackles, 5 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, and 1 defensive touchdown. That was a pick 6. Carson Ness, just what a career. He also is in the record books. He jumped up to number 6 all time in career receiving yards with 1,328. And, of course, his career really kind of going 2 years, 2023 and 2024. That was a very crowded receiver room as he was coming up. So he did that in a shorter amount of time. Of course, Tyler Soler, number 1, started 4 years for the Bucks, 2,100 yards. And then Rex Reichen, 1832. J.J. Hayna, 1659. Cody Oswald, 1417. As well as Cameron Zarbach, 1417. But Carson Ness surpasses the other top 10, Jackson Pasco at number 10, Sheldon Gant at number 9, David Bitterman at number 8, and Michael Drotzman at number 7. So congratulations to Carson Ness. You are in the record books.
And I believe, unless Twitter is lying to me, Carson Ness recently committed to Northwestern College as well. So he's going to be playing football over in Orange City as a Red Raider. And I know it's a very, very good NAIA program. So congratulations to him over there.
Yeah, and I know what's on that sheet for ESD. So I'm going to let you go to someone else that's also going to Northwestern College. Let's just keep going along here.
Yeah, we'll get back to offense in a minute because there's one more offensive guy. But special teams as a returner, also as you mentioned, going to Northwestern, announced I think the same day as Carson Ness. So that's
the con man.
That's Connor Slava, the con man. Works here at KYNT as well as an intern in the mornings. But he's a very good kid, and he did very, very well this year as a player. And congratulations to him once again going to Northwestern as well.
Led the team in receptions with 40. 409 yards receiving, 10.2 per catch, and 3 receiving touchdowns. And he had one of those years where he had so many games where he had almost big, like, giant plays. Penalties brought some back. And then also, it's hard to be this kind of player, but it's also a good thing for your team. But he drew a lot of attention. And, he got a lot of extra coverage a lot of the times, and that makes it a little bit more difficult. But he was still able to put up those numbers with that kind of coverage. That is really impressive for him. For Connor Slava, and really looking forward to watching his career continue to take off at Northwestern College, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I think he's also running track at Northwestern, if I read that right. Yes. So he's dual sport athlete for the Red Raiders, and good luck to both those Yankton Bucks, Carson Ness and Connor Slava, at the next level, going to the NAIA. We'll go back to the offense once again here for all ESD. One last Yankton player on offense. That's offensive lineman, the senior Lucas Cordell, playing tackle all year long. Was just a stonewall at the tackle position, making sure that not only was his quarterback clean for a lot of the year, but opened up a lot of run lanes as well.
I wish we were like Pro Football Focus and we had like, pancake blocks and, efficiency and stuff. I don't have those kind of stats for you, Brain, but I will tell you that Lucas Cordell did an excellent job on the line and was a huge part of that Yankton moving company.
And, it's when you're part of an offensive line that has a running back behind him that sets multiple records, you take pride in that. That's I talked to Evan Sirk after he set those records against Mitchell, and he gave a lot of credit to his offensive line. They're as much as their record as it is his. So that's something where, another great career, Lucas Cordell, another senior for this Yankton team, getting all ESD in his last year. And that takes us over to the defensive side of the ball.
Defense.
They say, defense is a big part of the game. A couple of defenders here for Yankton. Two made it for the Bucks this year, starting with senior linebacker Matthew Sheldon getting an all-ESD nod.
Yeah, Matthew Sheldon, 56.5 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery, 1 defensive touchdown, and what can you say except for that defense revolves around the linebacker position. Him and the other guy you're probably about to mention is they are just so instrumental, and Matthew Sheldon's so instrumental as a leader for this team. And when he was out of the game, it was noticeable.
And the other guy in that linebacker room that I want to mention, and if we could go back and talk to the people who made the all-ESD conference team,
Agreed.
I would ask them, I would bang the drum for this guy to be on the list. Bryce Krall did not make all-ESD somehow after what was a fantastic season from him as well. Bryce Krall and Matthew Sheldon literally could have been the top 2 linebackers in the state this year at the 11AA level. And you heard Coach Olson talk about it as a defensive guy. I mean, even though he coaches offense, I've heard Coach Huber say it too. They got 2 guys that they trust more than anyone else to run linebacker between Krall and Shelley. And I think Bryce Krall should have been on this list, but unfortunately he did not make it. But read his numbers real quick if you have them, because he, I think, deserved it.
Yeah, led the team in tackles, 65, had a sack, an interception, and a forced fumble. And, All-State hasn't come out yet, and there's always that possibility. He could be an All-State, but because that's a different selection process. But I will tell you, Bryce, not only do you have the best name in the game, but you are all KYNT. you just made my all KYNT team.
The all KYNT team. And when I say I think Bryce Krall should be here, I don't think it doesn't mean I'm saying he should be here over Matthew Sheldon either. I think both of them should be on this list. They more than earned it this year. But maybe that's just me being a homer. But I digress.
No.
There was one other Yankton player who did make all ESD for defense, and that was the junior defensive lineman. I'm glad he's coming back next year, Edley Amaro. Just an absolute game wrecker coming off the edge as a pass rusher.
Yeah, a junior, Edley Amaro, 20.5 tackles, 10 sacks, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery, and just an absolute monster. If he can maybe just hold himself back a little bit from jumping off sides sometimes, he's just going to be an absolute just wrecking ball.
He's so ready to go. And all those numbers, he missed the Watertown game too.
Yeah,
so that's
exactly.
one less game than everybody else, and he still put up those amazing numbers. On one hand, maybe pull back the reins a little bit, he's always ready to go on the defensive line, and sometimes it did get him with jumping off sides, but he brings a different kind of energy on that D line. When they get him fired up and ready to go, he is every quarterback's nightmare. And it is awesome to see.
And I can only say that, by the way, because he knows that how much I know that he's a great football player. Like he is an absolute just wrecking ball, and quarterbacks are scared of him. They really are. They put extra protection on that side, and when he starts barreling down on these quarterbacks, you're just looking at them rapidly, looking for somewhere to get rid of the ball or to just how can I put myself into a shell and avoid damage here.
And Edley's the only junior on this list for Yankton, so he's going to get another full off season of learning the game more, working out. I believe he's a wrestler too, so he's going to get another time through with wrestling, which can really help defensive linemen and offensive linemen with leverage and understanding how to work around another human being, another big human being. I think he wrestles at heavyweight. So, I mean, the sky's the limit for Edley next year, and I'm really going to be excited to see what growth he has in this offseason as a multi-sport athlete and just learning the game even more heading into next year.
All right, and then overall, Brady Muth, his overall record improves to 48-29. Took over in 2018, and of course, all-time leader in wins is Coach Max Hawk, 233 victories, 61 losses. Of course, that was from 65 to 94. So, I think Coach Muth is gonna have some time to try to catch that, but it's a couple more years.
Max Hawk was a staple of this community. He was up there with the Meridian Bridge.
Yeah.
I mean, he was around for a long time, and he won a lot. I think
his football team was built the Meridian Bridge as an off-season program.
They ran the ball across the Meridian Bridge.
Exactly.
Because looking back, I remember recently, I can't remember why I was looking at Max Hawk's record. I think they honored him at one of the games late in the season, so I was looking back at his records. I think 1 losing season, maybe 2 in 30 years as a coach.
Yeah, that seems right. Yeah.
He just had a different philosophy, and he had Yankton like a well-oiled machine throughout his entire tenure.
Second most victories. I'm literally have my record book here. That's why I'm going over this. But Arlen Lickness from 1999 to 2017, 143-68, and then Jim Miner, 33-12, and then of course Brady Muth, and then followed by Jack Richardson from 1960 to 1964. So the fact that I was able to go over basically all the, in record books, Yankton Bucks football coaches.
If my years are adding up, that's 5 total coaches for Yankton since 1960. Because it was, and then Hawk took. It was, I can't remember the last name you said off the top of my head now, but it was him, and then Max Hawk took over, and then it was Miner and then Lickness, right? Miner was the gap between Hawk and Lickness.
Yeah,
in
it was
there.
Richardson, Hawk, and then Miner, and then Lickness, and then Muth.
Yeah, it's that's stability.
And
in
Jim
a program.
Miner was Max Hawk's assistant coach for like 15 years. I think.
That just shows the stability in a program is big, and that's why Yankton continuously is one of the top teams in the state.
There are coaches before that, but I would have to go into some attics somewhere, some places, and I don't really want to get like asbestos or something. So I'm just staying clear.
1960s, that's the modern era of Bucks football.
Exactly. You should see the Yankton Bucks basketball record book. It goes down to like 1925.
Oh,
yeah, it's intense, and I have it, so it's there. All right, where were we? Talking about asbestos.
We talking about asbestos. Well, we went through the all ESD team there. We gave stats for each one, but just in case, it was a bit of a longer segment, so in case you missed any of it, all ESD members for Yankton: Easton Nelson at quarterback, Evan Circuit running back, Carson Ness at wide receiver, Lucas Cordell as an offensive lineman at right tackle. Defensively, Matthew Sheldon, linebacker, Edley Amaro, defensive line, and Connor Slava, special teams, as the returner for all ESD. As you mentioned, All-State hasn't been released yet. I'm excited to see, though, how those shake out as well, because I think we'll be seeing some of these names again on that All-State list when it comes out.
Bryce Crawl better be on that list, or I'm driving to Pier.
Someone's going to get a strongly worded email in defense of Bryce Crawl.
A handwritten letter.
And here's the thing.
From another Bryce.
Here's the thing. You and I are defending Bryce. I can tell you right now, the third guy that goes on all these trips, Josh Bolter, he'd be defending him even more. Right? I know when this came out, he was not too pleased that Bryce wasn't on the list. So
yeah, Bryce Call, remember, all that really matters at the end of the day, all KYNT.
All KYNT. That's the list that matters.
First team, all KYNT. All right, Brandon, thanks for joining us today. Congratulations to all the fall sports seasons. And I think next week, a little bit of a hybrid. I think I'm going to put together, it's going to be very little commentary, and it's going to be a lot of highlights. I think it's just going to be a kind of a highlight show. So volleyball, soccer, and of course football, a lot of football. So we'll go ahead and play that for you next week on the Coach's Corner. And then the following week is the official first show of the winter season, as I'll preview all the winter sports. And then before you know it, Braden, we're knee deep in winter athletics.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be busy. Bucks and Gazelles basketball. I know, obviously, on the Coach's Corner, we don't cover it, but we got Mount Marty Athletics. We're going to be covering Bucks hockey this winter. Yep. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a busy time. We have the facilities to split up more now, Bryce. So that's going to be interesting, for some of these split double headers where one of us will be back here, one of us will be on the road, and we're going to try to bring you as much coverage of Yankton basketball as we can, as well as Yankton hockey in there as well.
Yeah, thank you to the South Dakota High School Activity Association for trying to ruin my life and splitting all these double headers again. I don't know who is responsible. I don't know what AD I need to look right in the eyes and say, I don't like this. And I will, Braden. Take this very seriously. All jokes aside, well, with a joking smirk on my face, I will say, I hate it.
A little bit of facetious nature. Yeah.
Do you not see the fire in my eyes, though? I don't like it.
You're ready to go.
I don't like it. I don't know why we split these double headers.
You're going to Kool-Aid man right through that wall after this.
Oh, man. Some people are probably like, well, it's because that. No reason we need to split these double headers. There is no reason at all. All it makes is our life more difficult to try to bring the coverage that people hopefully love, and somewhat depend on. And it just makes it more difficult for us, and also takes some crowds away, and what really hurts a crowd is when you split up half the fan base. So that's a real thing. So I will die on that hill if that's just something that, you know what, all this political stuff going on, I'm going to write my congressman. Not taxes or anything, but I'm going to talk about double headers.
Yeah, Thune just got is it Speaker of the Senate or Speaker of the House?
Majority Leader.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'll write him. Hey, we need to get rid of split double headers in South Dakota.
Like, I know you're trying to
I know
get the
you're
new
busy.
AG appointed and the new Secretary of Defense and things of these hearings. But listen, South Dakota high school basketball split double headers. Where is this on the agenda right now? And do I need to turn into C-SPAN? I will testify in front of Congress and say, I have thoughts. I have many thoughts on why it's a bad idea, why it should just be dead in the water. We should not do it anymore. But that's my ending thoughts to that.
That's my rant of the week.
And you will hear more about that every other week on the Coach's Corner in the winter. So don't go anywhere. But that's it for today. One more fall highlight show next week. And then the winter season. Braden, I'm sure you'll be back on in the winter, maybe covering a couple shows, who knows, but appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And I know, as you mentioned, highlight show next week. I assume I hope you put together those highlights, but let's put it this way. I'm not going to be available next Saturday if you need me in the booth for anything. And, if things go well, I'll explain why to people after things happen.
All right. Thanks to Braden, and we'll be back in KYNT later with Mount Marty Athletics and then Mount Marty football and then Mount Marty basketball all today here on KYNT.
FM 102.1 and AM 1450 KYNT Yankton.